to grow and scale a profitable business as a real estate agent, you really need three things: leads, listings, and leverage. And today, our guest, we're going to focus on the leverage aspect of that, although leads and listings will be woven in as well. And my guest today is Russ Laggan, who is the VP of Growth at EXP Realty. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Josh Schoenly. I am dual licensed real estate agent and loan originator, and I've got a team, and we create content like this to help agents who are looking to grow and scale that profitable business by generating more leads, taking more listings, and looking for better ways to create leverage and ultimately, hopefully, get off the commission treadmill, the transaction treadmill that many of us, at least at some point, find ourselves on. So Russ is already, I love the whiteboard in the background. He's already laying out a roadmap for us, a little journey for us to go on here. But Russ, thanks for investing some time into the audience here today in our community. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to dig into this with you.
All right. Fantastic, Josh. I appreciate the invite as always. I'm always flattered when somebody asks me to talk about anything, really. This is just what we do.
Yep, no doubt.
Josh, I love the way you phrase that and start that. And I think it's interesting because business is only one part and one aspect of this whole thing, right? So business is the thing to finance life, right? And if your whole life has to be about the business so that you can finance a life, we have a problem. If you don't have a scenario where you can see a path to you being able to say, I don't have to do this every day anymore, trading time for money, then you got to start thinking different ways of doing that. And that's where leverage comes in, right? So
Yep.
we'll hear a lot of people, they run the math equation. The math equation looks like this. If I sell a house, I get paid. If I sell a house, I get paid. If I sell a house, I get paid. If I do a mortgage, I get paid. If I do a mortgage, okay. They're trading time for money. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people are like, well, that's dirty. It's not dirty. No, there's a bunch of people got to really great places doing this.
No doubt.
The world is a little different. The challenge is finance is a lot different. The challenge is inflation is what it is and interest rates are what they are. And it's
Sure.
not getting easier to get to the point where you don't have to trade time for money. So it's actually becoming a lot harder to get to the point where you're saying, okay, I have enough and I don't have to do this anymore. So typically we'll see these guys and they'll grind and grind and grind, and they're supposed to be saving along the way, and they don't. Because you're young, you're in your 20s. I got this going, and then you got, oh, God forbid you have a child, and then there goes the rest of your savings, and then the kid's going to college, boom, there goes the rest of the savings, right? Yeah.
Or four, and our first one's headed there this fall. Or
Yeah.
our oldest is headed to college this fall, so we're
Yeah.
living
So you're
that.
like, this is cool. The first 16, 17, 18 years of their life, you're like, I'm saving. And they take all of that savings and dump it into a college, right?
Yep.
So now you're back to zero. So now you're 50 and you're back to zero again.
Yep.
So we have this game that we've got to play and shuffle, and you still have to move on and move your life. So let me walk you through the 5 phases of a career. And then let's talk about a couple of shortcuts, leverage points, if you will, to be able to actually move through this process faster. Because the
Beautiful.
ultimate goal is to make it until you die. And ideally, you want to stretch that out as long as you can, right?
Yes.
So you
Yes.
don't want to have your plan be like this. Hey, Josh, so my plan is to be dead in 10 years because there's no way I can afford to live past that. I don't want to outlive the amount of dollars I have. That's one of the biggest fears of people is they'll outlive their money. By the way, if there's a book you want to read, I think Bill Riddle is the title. Let me see it. It's called Die with Zero.
Oh, yeah.
It's talking about the process of going. The ultimate goal isn't to die with a giant pile of money, because you sit back and you say, okay, how much dollars do you make per hour? Let's just round $100 an hour, right? At $100 an hour, you have $3,000. That's 3,000 hours. That's a lot of time, right? So you go to your grave and you're like, if you could have done something different or better with that 3,000 hours, I guarantee you wouldn't say, I wish I worked more. I wish I
Yeah.
worked an extra 3,000 hours. You'd say, I wish I had another day with, I wish I had another moment with, I wish I had another week with, month with, year with. 3,000 hours is a lot of hours. So if you
Yeah.
say, how do you want to live those hours? Do you want to do it collecting a pile of cash that you never get to use? Like, man, I'll tell you, I don't think anybody on their deathbed is like, if I could give you one more day with the people you love, would you take that? So is this really about money? Money is a tool, right? Money is a tool to be able to facilitate the environment and the business and the life that you want to facilitate. It is a tool. And unfortunately, we get used by the tool. We're not using the tool. So let's talk leverage. Okay. So
Yeah.
phase one,
Beautiful.
phase one of a business, right? They're like, Josh, I'm sure you've been here, right? I just need to make money, man. I just got to make dollars, right? So every time I interview anybody, real estate agent or mortgage people I've talked to in the past, it was like, okay, so how much money do you need to make this thing work? And they almost always say what?
10,000 a month or 100,000 a year.
100
Yep.
grand, right? And
Yep.
then two things about that. Number one, I know if they tell me 100 grand, they've never made 100 grand in their life. I don't know anybody that's made 200 that says, I want to make 100,
Right.
right? It tells me. So now just literally one simple question and one simple answer tells me a lot about where they are. This also tells me that when I start looking at $100,000 a year, if you take yourself and you add an additional $100,000 a year into your family, that's a big deal, right? So how
Sure.
long does the average person work? 30, 40 years, 45 years? That's $3.5, $4 million.
Sure.
If you don't think 3.5 and $4 million makes a difference in a family, you're sadly mistaken. Okay. It is a game changer, life changer, world changer. It is a finance changer, and it's a generational changer when you have the ability to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
When I see somebody say that, instantly my heart goes, I just want to just wrap them up and say, you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. And once we get on that path, here's the fun part. Once somebody gets to 100, what do they do? They're like, dude, I should have gone for 200.
Yeah.
They get 200 and they're like, oh man, I should have learned for the first time. Now I want 300. And then they got 300,000 a year coming in, right? And then they go, what? Friday night, 7 o'clock, tonight, 7 o'clock, phone rings. Hey, Josh, man, I need to look at a home real quick. Any way you can try to get me in this house tonight? And it's 7 p.m. on a Friday. And you're like, yeah, no.
Right.
When you sub 100, you're like, I will drop everything, including my kids, my wife, my family, my dinner. I will literally
Yep.
walk out of the room in the middle of dinner to go try to get that $300,000 house under contract. If they're wanting to see it, I'll drop everything. But once
Yep.
you get to the number that makes sense for you, then you start going, okay, you know what, Russ? Now something else becomes super important. In phase one, I just got to make money. I'll do whatever it takes. Right. And by the way, the worst part about this, Josh, is a lot of people never get out of this.
Yeah.
Nobody ever showed them a recipe to get out of this. So one of the things you got to do is say, hey, do I have somebody in my life that can show me a recipe on how to get out of this? In the real estate world, there's a couple of really simple recipes you can do to get your business coming to you instead of chasing it. And if you
Yeah.
learn those things, next thing you know, you're moving up the scale and you get to this point and you're like, cool, now I'm going to move the bar. And you get to that point, you're like, cool, I'm going to move the bar. And then you get to the next point, you're like, cool, I'm going to move the bar. And then the next phase is now I have to coach you saying, okay, you're not an agent 24/7 anymore. Let's get you to $300,000 a year and working 40 hours a week or less.
Yeah.
Time becomes the most important thing to you because at some point after 4, 5, 6, 7 years, hopefully you get to the point where you get here. But if you don't, then you're constantly in this thing where I constantly am being used by the tool. I'm not using the tool is using me. And you can get an example of this is on a Tuesday night, your kid's got a game. Are you showing up at the game or are you going to show the stupid house?
I don't know that I've ever heard someone refer to it in that way. That is incredibly impactful. I mean, I've heard money as a tool, but it controlling you versus the way you're describing it is a unique way of or perspective that I haven't really considered before in that way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And good news is I'm going to pull that soundbite out because that was good.
Yeah, no doubt. You should. Right on.
But it's if you guys can't figure it out yet, I lead here, right? It's like we're recording this as Valentine's Day, hence the red, right?
Yeah, there you go. I love it.
February 14th. So we'll name the date. We'll date this thing, right? It's February
Yeah.
14th, 2025, right? So you got to say, like, on February 14th, 2026, where am I at this on this curve? Am I becoming the tool user or am I still being used by the tool? So the next part of this game is now I got to get control of my time. I'm good with making this. And if I can make this and not miss the kids' games and make this and not miss have to skip church or skip the pool or skip the park, like every Saturday midday, I had to skip the game because I'm sitting at an open house. Time becomes the most important thing. And by the way,
Sure.
it is always the most important thing.
Yeah.
It's our
Yep.
most precious commodity. You get no more back. Okay. So then once we get to the point where we're like, okay, I'm controlling my money. I'm still at 3 or 4 or 6 or whatever your number is, right? Or 100. Like if you're at 50, you want to make 50 and you're there and you're good, enjoy the heck out of it.
Yeah.
It's not about the stuff. If you look at the house my wife and I live in, we live very conservatively because it's not about the stuff. It's about what we do with our lives and the time we get to spend for each other. I refuse to trade my life for cash that I don't get to keep. Okay. So once we get the money and a time in place, then the next thing becomes freedom. A lot of people say, Russ, what is freedom? Yes, freedom. I want freedom. A lot of people become real estate agents and mortgage people. Like, I want freedom. I want to control my own schedule. I don't have a boss looking over my shoulder say, how many widgets did you stamp today? Did you stamp your 10,000 widgets today? I want to be able to control it. So freedom of time, freedom of effort, freedom of flexibility of schedule and so forth. And then you get into here and you realize you have very little flexibility if you're doing what you got to do. You're
Right.
banging your head against the wall, right? That's why
Yeah.
you go, like, I get my time back, right? And then once you get those under control, you're like, I don't want to do this until I die. I've never heard anybody say, I want to work till the day I die. Now, there are some people saying, if I drop dead doing what I'm doing, I love what I'm doing. I'm good with that. But
Right.
I don't want you to be in a position where you're like 62, 63, 64, 65, and you're like, I don't have the choice to stop.
That's the thing, the choice, right? It's
See,
one
this is
thing if you're proactively choosing it because you love that thing, that's different than having to do that thing.
exactly right. So a lot of people say, Russ, but I don't like, but I love what I do. I don't think I ever want to retire. I'm not saying retire. I'm not saying stop doing it. I'm saying stop having to do it because you have to do it or you can't eat. So if I get to that moment, this is freedom, this is exit, this is what we can call it. You can call it retire, right? This is the moment when I now do it because I want to, not because I have to. And that kicks us into level 4. Once I get there, level 4, and you're like, gee, man, you know what? Actually, I'm there. I don't need the money anymore. So, like, why are you still doing it? And this is when people start saying, I got more in me, man. I got more
Yeah.
in the tank. I still got
Yeah.
another 8, 9, 10, 12 years. I want to build a legacy, right? I want to go out and start. And then this is when you see people saying and thinking things like this. And I hope every one of you guys gets to this point in your life. You get to the point where you're like, I'm doing this because I want to, and I'm doing this because I want to make the biggest difference in the most people's lives. It's not about, I want to leave a legacy. It's not that. It's just that I want to be able to make a difference. Man, I got here, and I'm so blessed that I got here that I want to give back and I want to help other people get to here. Who are you helping, right? And what I found, Josh, is that, by the way, when I was down here and I started helping people, I moved up faster. So a lot of people say, but Russ, I don't have enough. It's those moments when I don't have enough that I give some of what I have to help somebody else get closer to what I have, that both of us rise up. So I
Yeah.
used to take somebody at 0, 1, 2, 3 closings, and I'd partner them with somebody at 12, 13, 14. And what happened is this guy went up to 10, 12, 14, and this person went to 25.
Yeah.
They say, but Russ, but I need more money right now and I need more deals myself. How can I possibly help them? And the process of helping them is going to help you solidify what you do. And by helping them, you're helping yourself and you're making it make more sense. People say if you watch something, you learn something, you know something great. When you teach something, different game, right? So
Well,
now if I hold you accountable to something, I'm holding myself accountable. Otherwise, I'm full of shit. Nobody wants to be full of shit. So if I tell you you should be doing this, and yeah, I better be doing it myself. And let
yeah.
me show you how. That's good leadership. It's not telling people to do stuff, it's showing people to do stuff.
And so I'll like the reason why I create content like this, why there's the content on our channel, and why we built a school community to share and so forth. I don't have anything for sale. I share what's working. I share it so that I can be better. I can get better and become a better
Yeah.
community. But I also share it so I can help others get out of the struggle that I've had it many times in my career. It's not just the thing is, even though we've got this nice little arc going up. It's never perfect like that in reality. It's like the trajectory of a plane. It's always course correcting. You're always course correcting at every level. It would be beautiful. It was this beautiful little smooth arc up, but that's not reality.
Yeah, so here's the ultimate plan. The ultimate plan is you want an upward trajectory, right? So let's just say this plane is dollars, right? This plane is time. Okay, the OCD people are like, holy crap, dude, you did that backwards. Actually, I did that correct, right? Because here's where you die. Oh, that's actually accurate. I don't go on forever. Like, I'm coming to this point, done.
Yep.
I want to do the
Yep.
best I can along this tie path to get to this. And then what actually ends up happening is it really does go like this.
Sure.
And
Sure.
like down here is when you focus on what you want. When you're up here, stay focused on what you want. If you stay focused on what you want, and you're doing the simple little things, you're making these incremental moves upward, right?
Yeah.
So this building a legacy is like helping somebody else go through this path and flatten something. So what I'd like to see is like when you are around me, I want to see you being around me have this effect on your business. You're always going to have
Stabilizing.
ups and downs. You get the best
Yeah.
coach. You hire Tony Robbins to coach you, and guess what? You're still going to have ups and downs.
Yeah.
You're still going to
No
have good
doubt.
days, bad days. Okay. So people are like, but Russ, you don't understand. It's so hard. Yeah, it's hard when you have bad days and you stay stuck on what are you focused on? Man, I was down and down and down. By the way, the more you stay stuck on that, the more likely your path is going to go like this.
What you focus on expands, right? So if you're focusing on crap, you get more crap. If you focus on all the good, you get
Yeah,
more of that.
And here's the problem. There's a delay. I was like, this was Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, T. Harv Eker. If you've never read that book, it's not
Oh,
even a funny, right?
I've read that book probably 25 times. Probably
I
the book I've read the most, actually.
freaking mind blowing, right? And the fact that there's a delay, it serves you. Because if you closed your eyes right now and thought pink elephant, oh no, now
Yeah.
we have a problem, right?
Yep.
Pink elephant, like that's not going to fit in here. Okay. So legacy is one. And then, hey, by the way, there's a fifth level. And the fifth level is, hey, I've built a legacy. I've made a name for myself. And then the fifth level is, okay, I'm going to help other people build a legacy.
Yeah.
So first legacy is me building my legacy and the things that I do. The second one is showing you how to do that and help you build your legacy. So we've got people, some of the people that are around us, and I won't name names. There's no need to really, but I will say one person that I know well is a billionaire, and I'm like, why do you still do it? And he's like, I feel like I can still make a difference, and I want to help. I want to help 1,000 other people have that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So, like, why? Because I still think I've got something to add to the game, still got something to add to the story, and I want to help you have that. That's awesome.
No
So, let's
doubt.
talk about the leverage part. Okay. So, like, understanding this path and this course here, this is all evergreen stuff because I've been watching it. I'm like, there really are distinct phases. And by the way, for me, if I can have a conversation with you, all I'm doing is trying to figure out, Josh, where are you on here? So, if I can figure out where you are on here, okay, Josh, you're right here. Cool. So if I could show you how to get this, if I could show you how to move up to that number and start working on that time component at the same time, would you like to talk about that? Because if you have a bunch of money but you don't have any time, so if I could show you two or three things to help you get the money thing in the right place, getting business coming to you, doing things you're willing to do, not cold calling people, okay?
Yeah.
Doing the
Yep.
things you're willing to do. By the way, stand in front of a room, 300 people. I'm like, how many of you guys signed up because you wanted to cold call people? Not a single hand.
You will get very few.
So with that being said, that doesn't mean there aren't people that are good at it. Doesn't mean it doesn't work. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't do some of it. But I'm just simply saying that for most of you, didn't wake up in the morning and go, God, I want to be a cold caller.
Right.
And I say, if I could show you how to build better relationships and have the money coming to you and the people coming to you, it takes a little more time. There's a little less instant gratification. But over time, this happens where business just keeps coming to you. Would you like to talk about two or three recipes that do that? And everybody in the room, that's what I want to talk about.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So with that being said, here's my sales pitch. If I know you're here, then let me show you two or three things to get you here. What do you think about that? And you're like, whoa, yeah. The art of making a sale is showing people how that they can go from where they are to where they want to be. Everybody is in somewhere on this curve, somewhere on this line. You will see this, and this will be actually on the cover of my book. My book's not out yet, but it is on the cover of my book, which is funny because I draw this all the time. People like, Russ, you're always doing stick figures. Yes, I am. You know why? Because I suck at drawing. But you can mess up stick figures. Look at this dude. It looks like his neck was stretched. That's just over here too. His arms are way too low. Okay. So with that said, if you, it's like, here's the recipe for everything. I'm working on a listing, working with a buyer. Where are you at now? Where do you want to be?
Yeah.
Why do you want to be there? Okay. If I can show you two or three things that help you get there, I want the house of my dreams. I want a smooth closing. I don't want to be upset. I don't want to be frustrated. I want the transition to be easy. I want to know I'm covered. I want to have the I's dotted and the T's crossed and know you got my back. If I could show you how to do boom, and they're like, yes, that's what I want. Got it. Same conversation over here. If I could
Yep.
show you how to get your business to there and you're starting to control this time thing, you do that for a little while, you can get to that freedom moment. So here's the rub. The rub is that in the real estate business, you have one bucket, right? Here's your one bucket. Like I trade in time for money selling houses. There's bucket one. And that's it, right? So you're like a one trick pony. And then here's what happens, Josh. I don't want you to take this wrong because you may not fit this, but I'm going to say it. Okay. A lot of times people say, well, you know what I'm going to do, man? I'm going to get licensed as a mortgage person too. So then they can do the mortgages also. And what happens is they end up taking their time away from 100% working on their houses. They put 20 or 30% of time into the mortgages. And so what's happening is, let's just say they're selling 10 houses here, and now they're spending 80% of the time. You end up with 8 sales here, and they don't end up with enough to offset that 2 over here. And what happens is a lot of people say, Russ, I've got 2 buckets now. I'm like, yeah, but you got 2 buckets that are this full. You had one that was fully full. So if you've got 17 gallons of water and 17 buckets, I'm going to say fill up bucket 1 to the brim, and then 2 to the brim, and then 3 to the brim. And I'm going to show you what this really should look like. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of shift. We're talking business here. Okay. So
Yep.
I don't want you to get distracted. However, okay, separate business, separate people, separate conversation. Yes, it's affiliated, and yes, it's along the ride. So if you can have this mortgage thing under here, right? Say, as a byproduct of doing the house sales, I have some mortgage stuff that goes on. So there are programs where you can actually get licensed as a mortgage person. You can just take that buyer and say, hey, buyer, let me send you over to Josh. Josh will actually do the deal, but because I'm licensed, I can actually get some money from that transaction. So I've got money coming in, buying and selling, trading house. And then I have an additional stream of income, a smaller fee that comes along from being able to drive that mortgage. It's perfectly legal.
That's
Okay?
exactly what you're describing. That is the reason why. That version 2 is exactly why.
Not two
Because
separate
I
businesses.
understand version 1, you're just fracturing focus and you actually end up with less, not more.
Yeah, so I saw this a bunch with real estate brokerages. I did a bunch of teaching, training, coaching, helping fix and flip and repair brokerages, right? It's like, how do we get you on your feet, right? Did that and put my own money in one, right? Had it for 15 months, sold it as a fix and flipper, worked out pretty good. Now it's not legacy money, retirement money, but it was way better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
So this in business is what we call vertical integration. Like this becomes a byproduct of this. And I'm going to break it down really simple for you. Okay. What I found is that a lot of times somebody says, I got one office, I got 50 agents. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open another office. They open another office and this office goes down to 35 and this one goes up to 5. So net, how many people do we have?
Less than we started with.
40, right?
Yeah.
I see it all the time. They're like, I need to open a third location because then I can get more people. I'm like, you open a third location, you are way more distracted. It's like having one bat and trying to hit two balls at the same time. You're
Right.
not going to hit
Yeah.
them. Right? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, by the way, the best thing I could do is add another ball. If you add enough balls, you could probably get the bat on 2 or 3 of them, but you just missed the other 700. So I want you to be really focused. One bat, one ball. This is your main breadwinner. Cool. Then let's do some things that support that. And here's the fun part. Now you got a scenario where you're moving to this faster. So here's the fun part. The world shifted a couple of years ago. The world shifted around 2009. Okay. And you got a company that comes along and says, gee, as part of your thing, why don't we just issue you some stocks? So when you have a sale, we're going to issue you some stocks. You can also invest in yourself. So instead of paying a franchise fee of 8% and then paying that company a bunch of money, you can take 5% of your money, invest it in yourself, and we'll sell it to you at a 5% discount. So basically what that means is you buy a $10 bill and we sell it to you for $9.50. Okay.
Who doesn't want to do that?
$100,000, you sell it to you for $95,000, right? So when you start looking at that and saying, okay, now I'm at $300,000 a year, that's 15K invested in myself every year, right? Yep. And by the way, how long are you going to be doing this for, Josh? You look pretty young. You're going to be doing this, what, another 20 years?
Maybe.
Okay, so if you screw it up, yes. Okay, so let's just say
Right.
10. 10's the goal. So at 10 times this by 10, that's $150,000 more you've invested in yourself. God forbid the stock goes up $1. You want to be with a company that has a proven track record, is proven and sustainable, so that you know when you get this stuff, that this stuff has a chance of staying at least flat, if not going up over the next 10 years. Does that help you get to that freedom moment faster?
Absolutely. It's compounding.
You're doing the same job. You're doing the same thing and generating additional dollar, right? Yeah. And now in our scenario, if you do a good job of this, right? So we have a $16,000 cap in our company. And everybody's, Russ, but I've got a $10,000 cap in my company. Cool, good for you, right? In this scenario, when you hit a certain level of sales, we hit your icon, which is typically in most markets 20 to 22, 25, 27, 30, maybe 31 sales. Yep. And by the way, guys, if you want to get here, you're going to be over 30 sales, right? So if you're over 30 sales, the company will actually give you a title of icon. And when you hit icon, they give you the $16,000 back in stock. Times that by 10 years. There's another $160,000. Just doing what you're already doing. There's a couple of stipulations that go with that are very reasonable and easy to handle, right? So does that help you get to that freedom moment faster? I don't know. Just doing what I'm already doing, I'm that much ahead. Plus, I don't even factor this one in yet, okay? Now, here's the fun part, okay? In the process of doing this, you have these people on the other sides of transactions. You're doing 30 transactions a year. You're going to bump into some other real estate people in your transactions, yes? So you focus on listings. I love focusing on listings, right? And by the way, guys, newsflash, 63% of sellers surveyed said that they chose somebody they knew, liked, and trusted. That's a big number. So if you want to increase your listings, you got to start being known, liked, and trusted by people. I'm not talking cold calling, trying to get something. I'm talking you're giving to them, add value. Here's things you need to know about the market. Here's facts of what's really going on in the market. Here's what's going on in your neighborhood. By the way, here's a great barbecue place you should check out. I'm Russ, the realtor. Check out the barbecue place. People start to see that and you start to become part of their system. And when they start to think real estate, they think very different than cold calling, okay? Funny enough, a guy named Buddy Buck, buddy of mine, Buddy Buck's like, dude, that's a recipe. It's not a recipe, it's a recipe.
Right? Oh, you got to trademark that.
Right? Okay. Yeah, totally, dude. It's going up. We've got these other things that go along here. So in the process of doing this, by the way, most of these real estate brokerages, how they're built, real estate agent does deal with another real estate agent. They're like, man, I really liked working with you. And then they're like, let me introduce you to my broker. They introduce a broker. And next thing, that person that you were hanging out with on this deal that you love is, okay, wow, I'll come over and hang out with you guys. You guys look like you're having a good time. And then we're both having a good time. And then somebody else says, hey, man, like you guys are having a good time. Like, I want to come over there and play too. Most of these brokerages aren't built by the broker owner going out there and chasing people down. Their people bring people to them.
Sure.
So here's the fun part. People will say, Russ, the company you're with, all they do is recruit. Let's be clear. Some of them do. Let's be super clear, guys, by the way. Every single brokerage out there is built by recruiting. It's not novel. This is not new. The way they do it is very different in that instead of having one person or two people responsible for building the whole office in that market, every single real estate agent that we have in our company is out there saying, hey, if you want to do it, I'm doing pretty good. If you want to do that too, come along with me. And some of these people say, you know what? I want to do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll say, Russ, I was told that you just stop selling houses, just focus on this and you'll make more money long term. For most of you guys, that's a recipe for bankruptcy. Okay. I don't want you to go bankrupt. I want you to have a scenario where you're like, I'm making plenty of money. I'm focused on the right stuff. And by the way, I can do a little bit on the side. Remember, we had that conversation earlier. I don't want you to distract 20% of your business from here to do that. You're going to lose 20 grand.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. This adds up over time, but in the first year, that's a losing proposition. So what I want you to do is I want you to start seeing this for what it really is and where it really needs to belong. And I want you to start thinking of where this goes. And this goes in, hey, by the way, in the process of doing real estate sales, shouldn't I have this bucket under here? Okay, so now I've got a scenario where the flow drops and the flow drops, and they start feeding each bucket. So the bucket on the top feeds the one below. In business, is called vertical integration. Let me give you a really great example of vertical integration, and it is exactly the same thing. Pull up at the window at McDonald's back in the day, 1980s, later 80s. Got my first piece of junk car. I had to roll down the window with a hand crank. Remember those? Right? And most of the time it went down straight, not always, right? You can give a little look at it. Okay. That was my first POS, but it was my POS, right?
That's right.
It was junk, but I kept it clean, right? Take care of your junk. If you got junk, keep it clean junk so you get nicer junk, right?
That's right.
So I go to the window and I'm like, I want a cheeseburger. And back in the day, they would say,
Fries
what?
with that? Want
like
some fries with that? Yeah.
Would you like a Coke with that? And by the way, we've got two apple pie, hot apple pies for $1. And by the way, let that thing cool off because if you don't, it'll napalm the top roof of your mouth.
Oh, the younger generation we have no idea what you're talking about, but just trust us. Don't eat the hot apple pie immediately out of
and don't get a car with a hand crank. Okay. So with that being said, this is a vertical integration. Like the person's there for a hamburger. It's a hamburger joint. But they make more money on the fries and more money on the Coke than they do anything else, right? So then now you go to McDonald's, they got a meal deal, right? Because I know after how many years they're finally like, everybody wants a hamburger. They want a cheeseburger, large fry. So let's just put it in a bundle. So they got a value meal. This is already included. And then they'll still ask you, would you like it? Okay, so this is basic business. And why are we not leveraging this in our business? Now, this one's a little more complicated. So I would say for most of you guys, you want to leave this one out unless you have a good guide to show you how to do that. Josh, you might be able to help people do that. But for most people, just be careful. You need a good guide to make sure you're doing it correctly, okay? But these other two are built right into our system. So it's every time you do, it's right there along with you and makes it as easy as possible to be able to start leveraging these dollars. So now you've got a scenario where you've got 2 or 3 streams of income that are actually able to help you get to this freedom moment faster. Of course, one of them is investing in yourself. One of them is a company investing in you because people will say to me, Josh, why would the company do that? They're going to give you your $16,000 cap back. It makes no sense. Well, yeah, it does. Here's how simple it is, okay? Do you see any billboards for our company? Nope. Do you see any Super Bowl ads? Nope. Do you see any paper ads for us? Nope. Unless it's a local realtor doing some stuff for themselves. Our company doesn't do that. So instead of having a TV commercial showing these people floating around, our company reinvests that money back into you guys because you're the face of the company. You're the billboard. Our company's thoughts is, here's how our company likes it. Now you can get our company sign. So it's like you can get our company sign with the big thing in the middle of it. But what I want you to think is this is how we look at your business. For them, they're advertising their company. You're advertising their company on our side. I wanted it to be all about you. Because by the way, when it's all about you, your customers come to you because they love you. They trust you, right?
The reality is that's where you said it best. Most of your listings are going to come from people that know and trust you.
Yep.
Okay. And regardless of where you're at, ask yourself, when is the last time I got a client because I'm at X? The reality is that might happen every once in a while, but the reality is you're not getting a flood of business because you're at X, wherever
Yeah.
X may be. And that's nothing against X or Y or Z.
No, they're fine.
That's the reality. People do business, especially real estate, with people they know and trust. People, not
Yes.
brands.
Yes. So this is literally all about you getting your business to where you want it to be and moving through that process. And we help people do that. And by the way, in the process of doing this, you can end up with a scenario where you get a bunch of these. And you get a scenario just in a normal course of business. I'm like, don't focus on this, focus on this. But what's going to happen is people are like, dude, you're doing such a good job with that. I want to hang out with you.
Right.
Now I got a scenario where I can start to leverage this. And then over time, this will actually start to generate you more dollars than this if you do it intentionally.
Yeah.
Now people are going like, actually, I'm making more money here than I am up here, so I can slowly back away from doing this. And now, does that put you in a position where you have a better shot at this faster? Even if it's only a couple here and there. It's funny because somebody said the other day, they're like, my revenue sharing check isn't that much, Russ, because I've only got a couple people. I'm like, how much is the check? And it was like $850 last month. I'm like, how much is your car payment? She's 550 plus insurance. Your car's free. It's part of the byproduct. It's not a little. Listen, it's not it's not all giant boulders. It's a bunch of tiny little rocks, and they add up to a giant pile. Heck, this
Yeah.
whole planet is just a pile of rocks. Some bigger than others, right? But it's a pile of rocks, right? So ultimately, are you in a position where you're able to leverage this? If you're not in a position where you're able to leverage this and move yourself up faster and put yourself in a position where you can have these additional things that are just a byproduct of focusing on this, then you're probably not in the right spot to get there. I'm not saying you're in the wrong spot. I'm just simply saying you're not going to get there as fast. And a lot of people, I'll talk to them and they'll say, do you see that you can get there doing this? And they're like, no. I said, so what do you need to do? So well, I need to be there, Russ. Okay, so what do you want to do? How do I get there?
Yeah.
How do I get that? Hit the button. Go. I'm not closing anybody. They're closing themselves because they can see themselves. Remember our drawing, right? You can see yourself being here. I'm showing you here. Like this is who you want to be. Here's the path 1, 2, 3. If I can get you there, you good? All right,
And we have a growing amount of proof of the reality of who is coming along on the ride with us. And take a good look at the left hand side there. None of this works unless there's production at the top of the thing. And the numbers bear it out.
Yeah, our production year over year is astronomically higher. I can't mention the numbers because of being a vice president and insider trading info and all that stuff. But I will tell you, we're doing darn good. Year over year, the market was flat and we're up. Why?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, we've lost people. 73% of the people that we lost were between 0 and 1 sale. So did we lose the right people? Not that any of them, listen, nobody got into this that said, you know what, I'm going to be at 0. Russ, I want to be at 0. Nobody got into that. So it rips my heart out to lose any of them because they bought this as a dream, saying, my dream was to do that. And if that happened, this person wouldn't have to scratch and pinch for dollars. This person could put my kids through school. This person could take a vacation. This person can have 5 minutes off. This person, if the water heater blows up, you don't have to freak out and figure out how to finance it.
Right.
You pay cash to, that's what that person is. So it rips my heart out that somebody is in that position where they got in, spent the time, energy, and effort. They sold the dream to themselves and probably to their spouse, significant other, and then didn't realize that dream. Rips my heart out. But that's because a lot of people don't have somebody who can show them how to go through this curve and they're doing it the hard way. Stop doing it the hard way. Find somebody who can help you not do it the hard way and align with them, and life will get a lot easier. It's not easy. It'll get easier.
And know that if you want some help with that, I would love to help be your Sherpa. And we have resources, tools, training, etc., regardless of where you're on that curve that Russ drew for us. No matter where you're at, we have a plan for that. You're just getting started. We've got a plan to help you get some liftoff, get some traction, get some transactions going to relieve some of that financial stress. If you've got an independent brokerage or a team and you're stuck, you just can't figure out the next growth scenario, the path to get to where you want to go. Because here's the other reality of what you drew there, Russ. I think you would agree that no matter where you're at, most of the people that we talk to are not going to be satisfied when they hit that next level, right? It unlocks it's trying to win a never-ending arcade game, right? Like you unlock it, you beat the boss of one level, and okay, we got to go win it again, right? We got to go beat the next boss. And so The reality is that's never ending, but it certainly is a lot more fun and easier if you have people that have been where you want to go and are headed to the next place as well.
They say your mom has said this to you at one point or another, and almost everybody else's mom has said, be careful who you hang out with. If you hang out with these people, you're more likely to become that. If you're
Yeah.
hanging out with these people, you're more likely to become that. And there's no judgment. Everybody is moving somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So be careful who you hang out with. Hang out with some people that have already worked up this curve or can show you how to work up this curve. These guys over there, and you say to this guy, you're like, man, I want to make 300K. And they're like, hell yeah, let's go. You say that to somebody over here, and you're like, you're nuts. There's no way.
Right. Yeah.
Like this guy's
Yeah.
like, easy. You tell somebody, I had a guy, Russ, you don't understand, you know how hard it's going to be to get to 50 sales? I'm like, I don't know. I closed 143 in 2014. So 50 seemed like that would have been a failure, right? This guy over here is like 50 would have been a failure, right? But God, by the way, this guy was at 3 and 4 at one point. This guy was at 3 and 4 going, what the heck am I doing? This
Yeah.
sucks, dude. I sat in my car in 2007 with tears in my eyes because we were out of money and I had no idea how to get to the next sale. I'm sitting there going, what in the heck am I doing? I wanted to be here. I'm stuck at here. Oh, yeah. And by the way, our house is upside down like $140,000 because the market had crashed after we bought it. So I'm
Yeah.
standing back going, I'm screwed in a bunch of different directions. So what I had to do is I'm going to find some of these people and hang out with them. Because to them, they were like, it's no big deal, dude. We'll help you get there. Find those people that believe in you. And when
Yeah.
you find them, hold on to them tight. And then find somebody else you can give back to. Remember legacy? Find some of these people you can give back to and help pull them up the hill. Good.
No doubt. This was great, Russ. I appreciate the time. Your energy is infectious. What was it? The recipes. I think we're gonna have to trademark recipes. Also, I'm interested once the book is out, let us know on that. And oh, look at that.
Like it says CSS is not for resale. I'm literally doing the edits.
Look at that.
And 200. I was funny because I was like, just tell me the book is over 110 pages. I don't want a pamphlet, right? This is 260 pages at this point, and it's cleaned up a little bit. And it's going to go through. It's probably the end of March. This will be out. And by the way,
Beautiful.
see the drawing on the cover?
Followable.
It's
Yeah, look at that. It's a little bit better than the one on the whiteboard.
not about leadership. It's about being followable. So check that out
Yeah.
for March. But yeah, this is just imparting this stuff. Part of this is in here too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to chat about how we can help you create a plan to get wherever the next step on your path might be, I would love to chat and connect with you. There'll be information in the description. You can schedule a time or you can drop a comment, or I'm not hard to find. You can find me on every social platform or just Google me. I would love to connect and chat with you to see if there's anything that we can do to help you get to that next step in the journey. And also just a point of encouragement, both Russ and we've all been there, right? We've bought, I've had my, maybe not sitting in my car, but I've had those experiences just like Russ did right around the same time, quite honestly, of wondering what is going on? What am I going to do? What am I doing with my life? So if you're there, just know that there is a path out of it. It's just about finding better information and getting a little bit of help and encouragement. Russ, thank you again. This was great. I appreciate it. Everybody look forward to, depending on when you're listening to this, check out Russ's book. Would love to chat with you. Check out the information in the description and be well.